got an interesting guest here. You know, we're always talking about. Let me give you all one of these sheets on this man. I forgot to give you your sheet. We're always talking about the people the crisis pregnancy centers using the animation video that we have, and we make it available to people very cheaply, the CPCs, so that they can afford to let people go home with them, because very often the woman or the girl that's at the abortion clinic isn't the one that's actually making the decision about the abortion.
That's true.
And she needs a sales tool to take home with her. And we're joined right now by Joe Dalton. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Fine, sir. How are you doing? And you're joining us from Rolla, Missouri. Is that correct?
Rolla.
Rolla. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's great.
And you had an experience like this with a center that you were affiliated with. Tell us about that.
Well, the first experience I'd like to bring up was a young Mexican girl that was brought to us. We had heard we'd received a call the day before from a man saying that he wanted to schedule a miscarriage for his girlfriend. So, of course, the counselor said, bring her on in. We could tell her all about abortion. And at any rate, she was delivered the next day, and we counseled her for 45 minutes. Didn't go well. Actually, the counselor came to get me to help her, and then we went into ultrasound, and that went well. She was totally changed, wept, and kept saying over and over again, that's my baby, that's my baby.
Yes.
Now, she went from abortion-minded to abortion-vulnerable at that moment because boyfriend wasn't here. We had to prepare her to go home and make this sales pitch to him. So that's the first thing we did is we brought out that animation DVD, which I love, and we sat down with her, watched it with her, and then we told her that, okay, this is what you tell him. Hand this to him and say, you love me. Do you realize I could die from this? And make him watch it. And that's all it took. We sent her with other information, but that's what really did it. She came back with him the next day. We counseled both of them. They both got to see an ultrasound together, and it was a sealed deal. So
wow.
That was the first save I wanted to mention to you.
Now, she's supposed to deliver her baby next week?
No, that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
No, this girl went back to Mexico a couple of weeks ago. She was here on a work visa.
Okay.
But the other one was, it's actually our most critical save ever because with this woman's last pregnancy, the doctor told her that delivered her baby that she shouldn't get pregnant again because if she did, she would absolutely die. And which was ridiculous. In fact, our medical director went over her files, and it wasn't true at all. We think the guy was just trying to control the population in his little corner of the world or something. But we had her in for her first ultrasound and counseling experience, and we were able to cancel her appointment at Planned Parenthood in St. Louis with that first experience. A week later, we found out from our medical director, who was also her doctor, that, you know what, she's changed her mind, you better call her. So we did call her, and I spent a half hour with her on the phone, pleading with her, and she refused to come into the center. But what she did agree to was a home visit. So I threw the DVD in my briefcase, went home to get my wife, and then headed to her house. It was about 45 minutes away, actually. And about an hour later, after watching the DVD, she called Planned Parenthood to cancel that appointment again.
And that's the lady that's delivering next week?
Yeah, Monday she's scheduled for a C-section.
Wow, that's great. So you saved two babies that you know of recently, just basically off using the animation DVD.
I know it's more than that, Mark. We've handed out over 30 of them,
right?
To take home. So we know it's more than that, but those are the most telling stories I wanted to share with you.
Right.
I did want to add that we found out about this resource from one of our donors. So I'm not just speaking to pregnancy center directors. I'm speaking to everybody that if you know of a pregnancy center around you, order this thing, bring it into the director, and have them watch it. It's an amazing resource.
Well, the thing is, if a CPC calls us and says, what is this or what about, we'll send them one for free just to look at. So they don't even have to order one. All they got to do is just call and we'll, they don't have to pay for it. We'll send them one for free. And then we make them available for, I think it's $1.50 a piece. If they buy them in lots of 25, that's $37.50. You can save 25 babies for $37.50.
Sure.
It's the cheapest way to save a baby
You
in the
can't
world.
even hardly buy a poster for that.
Right. Well, Joe, we
Well,
appreciate you being with us and telling us these stories, and you guys keep up the good work.
You too. God bless you all.
Thank you, Joe.
Mark, that is great, because he even recognized that she went from being abortion-minded to abortion vulnerable.
Right.
And still that resource was able to help out.
Right, exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Animation.
It's just amazing. And the reason that these things work is not because they're so profound or dramatic or anything like that. It's because the vast majority of women in this country who have abortion, and I've talked to thousands of them over the years, before they have their abortion, they're looking for someone to talk them out of this. Right. They're looking for whatever they can hang their hat on that says, this is the reason I don't want to do this.
Right.
And they're looking for something that they can show to someone else and says, this is the reason you don't need to be pressuring me into this or coercing me or threatening me or whatever that's happening. So it's not that these things are just earth-shattering and profound. They're not. It's just there's something. There's some argument that you can bring to the table that will give them the excuse they need to I had a lady years ago, and I'll never forget this. She had been injured in her abortion, and we were dealing with her on a malpractice suit. I'll never forget her telling me, she said, when I was sitting in that waiting room, I'd fill out my forms, I'm just sitting there waiting on them to call me. And she said, I'm sitting there thinking, I wish somebody would walk through that door and talk me out of this, figure out some way to talk me out of doing this. And she said, when nobody came in, I just went back there and went through with it. And I'm telling you, I am honestly convinced that the vast majority of women in this country who have abortions just need some little something to get them off dead center to choose life for their baby.
Even sidewalk counselors will tell you that so many times.
Right.
Some couple will say, well, I had prayed, I didn't God the woman, and you're thinking, well, we're glad we were there.
Right, exactly. Just something.
Wow.